Hi. In this short video, I wanted to give you some information to help you be a wise consumer about how lobbying and subsidies have affected our food choices here in America. So every few years we have a council that gets together that decides what recommendations to give to the American public about what they should be eating. And they listen to a whole host of different experts and lobbyists to determine what they should be presenting to us. And in my opinion, I feel like they should only be relying on the information that comes from scientists who study nutrition, but it doesn't work that way. And there is a huge influence by special interest groups over what we're encouraged to put on our plate. So back in 1977, the guidelines told us that we needed to decrease our consumption of meat. Today, we're told that we need to eat 2 to 3 servings of meat every day in order to be healthy. Today, we're also told that we need to have 3 servings of dairy every day in order to be healthy, even though many Americans cannot digest the lactose in dairy. In fact, many people throughout the world cannot. And even though there is a small percentage of people who can digest the lactose, dairy is such a major contributor to inflammation and hormonal imbalance, not to mention it's our number 1 source of saturated fat that we consume here in America, number 2 followed by meat. We're also told that we need dairy for strong bones and for calcium, but dairy actually leaches calcium from our bones and makes our bones weaker. The better sources for us to get calcium are from whole plant foods, kale, broccoli, and beans. When the government subsidizes an agricultural company, they have to use a portion of that money and those funds to advertise back to the American public. So the Got Milk campaign, the beef is what's for dinner, the pork, the other white meat, this is government subsidies going to those companies to then advertise back to us that we need to be eating those foods. A major powerhouse in this whole system is the Sugar Association that was created in 1976. So we've seen this whole trend, low fat, need to eat low fat, even though we're told to still eat dairy and meat. And because we're eating all these low fat processed foods, our sugar consumption has just skyrocketed. For the first time since 1976, we're finally starting to see sugar information and just how much sugar we should be eating on our nutrition labels. They have fought for years to keep that off the label, and I'm so glad that it's finally a part of the nutrition label. So we spend about $20 billion per year subsidizing farms through our government, and 39% of the farms in America run on government subsidies. So the major crops, or I guess animals can't be considered a crop, but livestock, dairy are subsidized by our government, along with corn, soybeans, wheat, and rice. And corn and soybeans grown here in the U.S. are genetically modified foods. And the most efficient way to use up these foods is to either feed this corn and soybeans to the livestock that we eat, or to put it in processed foods. So if you eat a diet really high in processed foods and meat, you're getting exposed to a lot of genetically modified plants. And why this matters is there's a strong correlation between eating genetically modified foods and digestive problems. Nobody's been doing actual research to show the cause and effect yet, but the correlation is so strong that it makes me, it just made me decide that I was going to avoid those foods as much as possible. We spend about $38 billion per year on growing animals. Most of the crops we grow in the U.S. go to feeding our animals, not feeding people. For every $1 we spend on meat products that we buy at the store, we're spending an additional $2 in the taxes that we pay to subsidize that meat being produced. So I just encourage you, if you're interested in this subject, to read Dr. Greger's book, How Not to Diet, and Dr. T. Colin Campbell's book, The China Study. They give a really good in-depth look at how our food system has been affected by the way our government is run and our capitalism in the U.S. Having a democratic society and a capitalistic society are wonderful, wonderful things, but they do have an impact on the way that we eat and the choices that are available to us. So it's really important that we become wise consumers and make sure that we're listening to the experts who actually study health and nutrition when we're making choices for what we eat and what to feed our families.